Chapter 11, Section 1, Day 1 is all about starting permutations and combinations. Before we can get into permutations and combinations, we'll talk about the fundamental counting principle. The fundamental counting principle allows you to determine the number of ways something can happen by using multiplication. So fundamental counting principle is something we'll use in here anytime we have things like categories, and I'll explain that in a little bit, or things like choices. So if you take a look at example 1, there are 160 students in a junior class. How many different teams of president and vice president can be chosen from the class? The fundamental counting principle says you can put a line for each position to be filled and then put how many options you have. So we'll have a position for president and we'll have a position for vice president. There are 160 students in the class. So that would mean you have 160 choices, technically, for president. And if one student is chosen, you would have 159 left for vice president. So the fundamental counting principle just says take those two numbers and multiply them. You get 25,440 teams. Make sure you label each of these. Number 2, you have 6 different shirts. You have 6 different shirts and 4 different pairs of pants. Obviously, these aren't your school clothes. How many different outfits can you wear? Pants and shirts are different. So when I talk about the fundamental counting principle being used for categories or choices, you have choices here. You have a choice for shirts and you have a choice for pants. If you read back through, there are 6 different shirts and 4 different pants. Fundamental counting principle says multiply them together. You would have 24 outfits total. One type of license plate has 2 letters followed by 4 digits. How many of this type of license plates are possible? And so what you kind of want to do is draw out the license plate. It says it has 2 letters, put L for letters, followed by 4 digits. So these are all digits. When you consider letters, those are letters of the alphabet, and there are 26 of them. And the license plate, you can have repetition. So even though you use the letter for the first spot, you still have 26 left for the next. When you consider digits, you're considering the digits 0 through 9. You count them up, there are 10 of them. And again, repetition is permitted. So you would have the opportunity to have the same digit over and over and over again. So the fundamental counting principle says multiply those together. Your final answer will look like this. Make sure you throw a label on it. And you're all done. Factorial. Factorial says that you can start with any number you want and subtracting 1 each time, multiply all of the numbers. If you notice, the symbol for factorial is an exclamation point. So take a look at number 1. They want you to do 4 factorial. So you need a calculator for this. What you can do is hit 4 and then hit the PRB button and choose the third option. Press enter. Press enter again, and you should see that the answer is 24. So I'm going to do the same thing for the next one. That one was 6 factorial, so hit 6, go to the PRB menu, select the third option, press enter. So that one's 720. Oops. Number 3 is 5 factorial. So 5, PRB. You'll notice that I hit the number 3 next instead of arrowing down and pressing enter. It's just a shortcut. You press enter, you get 5 factorial is 120. You don't have to worry about this work. Just use the calculator. You're doing 7 factorial. So in these, this is 6 factorial over 5 factorial. I recommend you start with the numerator denominator button, put a 6 factorial in the top, then arrow down, put a 5 factorial in the bottom. Press enter, and the answer is 6. Number 5, they want an 8 factorial over a 6 factorial. So start with your numerator denominator button, 8 factorial on the top, 6 factorial on the bottom. We get 56. Nine factorial over 7 factorial. $72. And number 7, 8 factorial over 5 factorial. $336. They can get a little tricky. If you take a look at number 8, they put 2 things in the denominator. That's okay. We're going to put it in the same way we saw it before. So a 9 factorial on the top, and on the bottom, I'm going to put a 7 factorial first, and then I'm going to just put a 2 factorial behind it. I get 36. You can put it in the same way you see it. All right, last one. 8 factorial on the top. Oops, I forgot to start with that. You get 28. Don't be overwhelmed by the work. It's just the calculator stuff, so you do need a calculator to do it.